All right, folks. All right, folks. All right. Today's session was pretty interesting. Um, Left quite a few trays at the table, on the table rather, and my internet kept kind of going in and out again. So I missed some opportunities and such. So today was pretty interesting to say the least, but still good nonetheless. I did have a losing day. I think I lost close to a couple of $100, and it was due to the last trade that I did take, the very last one that I took, and that one was a loss. That was the loss. So um, yeah. So today was interesting because it started sideways. The market opened sideways, um, but it ended up ending. The day ended up ending in an impulse wave. So kind of ended on the upside, but I think with my internet cutting in and out and some other things going on, and me kind of being apprehensive because of the internet stuff, I left a little bit of profit on the table. Well, quite a bit of profit on the table, and ended up with a losing day, losing a couple of $100. So not a complete failure in terms of loss. I mean, I only lost like $200 or less or what have you. So it's not a complete shamble today, but I did leave some things on the table. But anyway, you see right here in the marketplace, it is going sideways. So you can clearly see that. And you see the levels here that it's hitting, and where it's kind of positioned at the moment. So I'm looking at where this candle is going to end up, because I am thinking about getting in on the downside. So kind of looking around, just trying to be patient. I do see how that candle's working, so I do get in. I was a little bit aggressive on this one, so I had no problems getting into this trade, because I figure that it would touch that bottom. Will touch that area there, touch that low, and that's my main goal. My main goal is just to watch this thing touch, and this was a bit of an adventure. So so this particular trade was interesting because I knew that it would touch that area. It's just a matter of when. I got in at the top of the expiration in the binary, so I have a little bit over a little bit under 17 minutes to go. So I'm pretty good to go in terms of time. And this is the open of the market, so there is some volatility, some juice going on right now. So I'm feeling like I'm in good shape. I'm doing pretty good. So I'm just expecting it at some point to touch that area. Now I'm not expecting it to pass that area. I'm just expecting it to touch. And that's my main motivation right now. So as you can see, price is kind of moving a little bit erratically right now. It's touching, it's trying to touch, the other high there. It's trying to touch that high, but that it's just not budging. So again, I know it's going to come down, it's going to touch, but I just need to be patient. And the thing about Nadex and these binaries is, a lot of times with these binaries, because they are so erratic, it gets people in an emotional wreck. Binaries put people in an absolute emotional neurotic wreck. Okay. I mean, you could get really bent out of shape with these binaries if you're not used to them. And this is why in other videos that I have coming up, I am currently working on some videos now, some commentary about the mentality and the psychology of the binaries, because one thing that happens is people come into this business, come into this niche of the business, trying to think like a stock trader or forex trader, trying to think in terms of some sort of complex analytics. And I can tell you now that these binaries do not care about any of those analytics. You have to come in here with a particular sort of abstract, open mind when it comes to these binaries, because these things could get loose and get erratic. These prices can move, and the higher the amount of contracts you use, the more money you see in the green or in the red. And I mean, this is why you don't risk. This is why you don't risk more than you need to. Okay, more than your account. And this is how people get killed on Nadex, because they see how attractive the money is, or they see other Nadex traders and they're like, oh, this guy's killing it. This guy risked the whole account and he flipped, this amount of money to this amount of money. And it's very tempting to do the same thing. And the fact is, with these binaries, it could get so erratic and it could get so crazy and chaotic to the point where, you can absolutely just lose it all in one move, or lose it all in one expiration. So, you've got to be careful with these things. But with that said, when you're dealing with a situation like this, where you see price kind of moving erratically, kind of moving all sorts of ways, you have to stay poised, and you have to stay stoic, and you have to, sort of keep your wits about you, because, you have to sustain your confidence in the trade. Whatever trade you take, you need to take it with confidence. I don't care how many contracts you risk. You better come in there confident, because if you're just kind of lollygagging and, you're just kind of teetering around, you're going to get killed. So, I'm just making this point because of how the market's moving right now, and with the way that the market is moving, you definitely have to pay attention, which is why you see me in my webcam. You can see me paying very close attention to what this price is doing. I'm really into this price and this particular trade, because it can do all kinds of different things, and you have to just be prepared to make certain reactions or to make certain moves that you need to act quickly in. And this binary trading stuff is not for the faint of heart. I mean, if you're used to trading bots and trading where you can set levels, profit levels and loss levels, through some automated system, or through your platform where you're placing these levels and you don't have to think about anything, that means that you don't have to deal with the emotion of the moment and what's going on. With binaries, it's very different. You have to be extremely engaged. And that's why I say in other videos, if you can do binary options, you pretty much can trade anything. I mean, honestly, like, if you could trade binary options effectively and and do that, you can trade anything, because everything about this experience, you have to experience it manually. You have to make the decision for yourself to get in and out of a trade, to stay in a trade, to risk, the whole risk, or to only risk a little, to take the whole profit, or take, you have to make all of these decisions manually. And as much as people want to try to sell automated systems as if it's something that is just convenient, or something that is a great way, efficient way to trade, the fact is, it just, you don't get a chance to experience much of any sort of emotions in those styles of trading. And the only way you do in those styles of trading is if you are actually actively trading in those platforms or in those systems. If you're not actively trading in them and you're just setting levels and setting it and forgetting it and you're just walking away, yeah, there's benefits to that. Of course, you don't have to necessarily think about all of the nuances that you have to think about here with binary options. But what happens is when people try to transition from that world to this world, it's a completely different animal. And now you have to engage in your emotions. Now you have to engage in this, very physical experience, because it's a very physical experience. I mean, you could get bubble guts, you can, get nervous, get anxious. You see all these prices moving up and down. It gets crazy. So, that's why it's important, if you're going to trade binary options, that you have some wits about you, that you have some kind of emotional control over yourself, because I mean, this stuff can really turn your world upside down. And pretty much whatever you risk, you pretty much have to be prepared to, take a fraction of that loss, or to accept the whole loss. And again, cutting your losses, you have to do that manually. And that's the hardest thing to do. That's the hardest thing to do. And this platform forces you to do that. You have to engage with your emotions. You have to engage with the moment. So, I've ranted enough. This trade is finally getting, going down, getting some traction. It's starting to go down to that level, touch that level. And this is where I took profit, somewhere around this area here. And that was good. So, that was a good trade. I made $300 there. In that situation. So here in this trade, I got into, I was a little bit apprehensive about this trade. I should have taken the profit from where it was at the time, but I was just really trying to test and see if this particular candle, because this is an impulse wave, I just thought that this would at least go over that area, or touch it, or get a little bit over that area. And it didn't quite make it. It really didn't catch that much steam. I was thinking about taking profit there. I didn't take profit. I should have taken profit there. I really should have, because that possibly would have been my my withdrawal money. Since I would have been really close to that $9,000 area, which is my goal this week. Well, at least I'm trying to get the account up to 9,000. This would have been my withdrawal trade. But hey, at the end of today, that proved otherwise. But anyway, I was really just watching this trade. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Because what happens is, a lot of times when that moving average that you see there, the 20 period moving average, the blue line, if this thing kind of goes far enough, it will snap back. So right now it's not that far away from it. So that's why I got into the trade, because it's not that far away. Actually, it's kind of riding on that trend. So it's trending upward on this impulse wave. So, that's always a good thing. So what I just decided to do was, just stick around in it. And I think I stuck around a little too long. I should have just taken the profit when it was like at the 200 level, and just had that be like my withdrawal money or something. But yeah, I didn't lose too much money. This isn't the big loss that I took today. This was just, I think I just kind of got out of it, kind of just broken even. I don't think I lost much money. I think I just kind of broke even. But yeah, I mean, right around this point, I should have just taken profit. I mean, honestly, but I was just sticking around, just trying to see if, because the next candle's coming up. So the next 5-minute candle's coming up. So I think I was just really testing to see if it would go. And I mean, I could have made a lot of money there. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it goes with trading, as far as decision making, when you're in real time and there's a lot of stuff going on, you just kind of, you're just living in the moment, so you're not really thinking about these things, until you kind of get into a hindsight moment like this, so what I did here was I just got out of it, because I just didn't want to take any unnecessary risk. By just hanging around here, because it just seemed like it would kind of stick there, and maybe it will go up, maybe it won't, but I just didn't want to take that risk of finding that out the hard way. So I wanted to stay on a good note, on a high note. So I just got out of it, and I lost a little. I did lose a little bit. I think I was at 712. I may have lost like $7 or something, whatever. But I think it turned around and went back up or whatever it did. But I just, it's just in these situations, it's trending upward. So it is on an uptrend, but, I just didn't want to take any unnecessary risk. So here I'm kind of contemplating getting in. I think I got in here. I think this is the trade that I did lose. So I believe this is the trade I lost. I think did I get in this trade? I believe I got in this one. It looks like the trade I did get into. Yeah, I think so. Because today was a little ironic, because I mean I did like I said, I did pass up on some trades, as well as my computer kind of going in and out, in between recordings. So yeah, I did get into this trade. I'm not expecting anything major to happen. The market by this time is already kind of moving a little slower than it was earlier in the morning. So my only purpose of this trade is just for it to touch that level once again, to get as close to that level as possible, so I could just take profit. And it was kind of going towards that way, and it kind of got stuck. I think where it is right now, it just got a little bit stuck in that area. And instead of cutting my losses, once again, just kind of cutting, because when that's happening, you usually just want to just cut that. But stuck around or whatever, and and it looked like at one point it did look as if it was going to kind of move its way towards that area, so I can take some profit, but it just never really caught any steam. It's just kind of making these micro movements. So I'm looking at it pretty closely. You can see me kind of looking at it and just trying to see what's happening here. And while it's doing this, I mean, this is usually sort of a cue or sort of a clue to let me know, hey, this might not be the trade you're looking for. You might want to get out of this. But again, just sticking around. And I think after a certain point, I think I just made it up in my mind that I was, I was just ready to just commit to it. I guess, just commit to it. And, because at times, what it tends to do is, it'll kind of do what it's doing right now. And it'll, the next candle will it'll either ignore that candle, or the next candle will get a little bit lower, and maybe that third candle will start to make its move. But at this point, I'm committing to the trade. I'm committing to the situation. So I'm not too upset about, the situation. I mean, considering what happened, the amount of money I lost. I'm not too tripped out about that, because I've already made it up in my mind to commit. Okay. And I'm not risking that much, in terms of my account. So I think here, 31 and a half, I think, that's about, if I, me losing that amount of money, I think $31 per contract, that's about $450. So I lost about $400 something on this trade. But overall, at the end of the session, I lost about $200 or somewhere around there. So this set me back $200. So this loss set me back $200. But anyway, I'm committing to the trade because of what I just expressed earlier. There are times where, this candle will start to make its way up. The next candle will ignore that candle and make its way up, depending on where it ends. And it just seemed to get lower and lower. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, it's getting lower and lower. So it seems like it's starting to lose steam a little bit and just kind of fall apart downward. And that's pretty much what happened. And just like I've said in other sessions, and when you've seen my other losses, I always say, hey, it's already at a certain point. Once it gets down to like where it is right now, I mean, it's almost like, and this is just in my mind. This is just how my psychology works and my trading style. I mean, I'm already down 400, so it's like I might as well just now I'm really committed because I'm like I'm already down this amount anyway. So, I might as well just ride it to the end. And that's the thing, it's like, people want to make a big deal out of this, and you may be watching this and you may be saying, well, this guy can't trade, he sucks, all this kind of stuff. And the fact of the matter is that people lose trades, okay? People lose trades. The guys who you're talking to who are scamming you or scamming other people, or you just watching for laughs or whatever you're doing with these other folks, they're losing too. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't the trades. It's not the win-loss ratio. It's not the win-loss ratio. It's the amount of money you're risking. It's the risk. It's the risk. It's the risk. Not the amount. It's the risk, the amount of risk, not the amount of wins or losses. There are people who are out there who are like, I mean, they lose every other trade. I mean, they're just losing. But the ones that they do win, they're home runs. There are people out there like this, right? They're losing until that one trade shows up and it just obliterates all those other losses. Pretty much the opposite of how most of you are trading, or how or how most other people are trading. It's the opposite from how regular retail traders think. People who trade the way I just mentioned, like they're taking loss, like little loss, and then they get the big win. It's pretty much reversed with the typical trader. The typical trader, they're taking little wins, and then losing big. Right? Little wins, lose big. There are people out there who are doing the exact opposite. Okay, so they're probably losing a lot more than they're winning. It's just the wins are obliterating the losses. It's almost as if they're not even, losing in the first place. But the reason why that's the case is because how much money are you winning or losing at the end of the session? It's not how many trades you won. It's not, oh, I won 10 trades today. It's not, oh, I won 10 and lost 2. It's not that. It's how much did you lose of the 2? Because if you lost $800 of the 2, but you had to win 10 times to make up the 2, that's not a good win. That's when the win-loss ratio doesn't matter. That's when the percentages don't matter. Right? Oh, I win 90% of my trades. Well, it's like, well, winning 90% of your trades doesn't mean that you're profiting 90% of the time. So, so that's why I'm making a point of saying that you're watching this loss because I'm showing the loss. Because I have enough balls to show the losses. I have enough transparency to show the losses, right? I don't care about the losing because I know I don't have $8,000 in my account for nothing. So I don't care about showing the losses. I really don't, because we all need to learn from losses. When I use sports analogies all the time, it's like these guys, they're, it's like the athletes, they take plenty of wins and losses. They're winning and losing all the time, but you have to learn from both the wins and the losses. You can't cry and gripe and cry about losing. Every time you lose, you're getting bent out of shape. Those guys in the competitive space, they have to put those losses behind them. They have to learn. They have to look at tape. They have to go back and look at the mistakes they made. But they have to move on. They have to learn from those things, and they can't go around trying to act like they don't lose or they can't lose, because losing exists. Failure exists. So that's why I want to show the losses, because we all can learn from losses. We all can learn from my losses. I know why I lost this trade. I lost this trade because I wasn't patient enough to wait for that move right there that I should have been waiting on. Because the snapback is starting to come back, and I should have waited for that comeback, for that snapback. And this, for all intents and purposes, this is not, as far as where we are right now at the stage of where we are on the moving average. This is not a pullback anymore. It's not a pullback anymore. So that's what I should have waited for, was this particular move. Wait for it to pass that 20 period, which is that line you're looking at right now, and then gotten into, that area. But it's almost the end of the day. It's pretty much the end of the day now, the end of the session for the day. So that's why I'm not going to be able to necessarily have an opportunity to do that at this stage. It just so happened at the end of this stage of the session where it's starting to make that move. But that's why I lost. I should have just let that go by and just waited for this, because that's normally what happens. You kind of get especially these little micro movements you're looking at right now. You usually get these kind of things going on. And that was a dangerous spot that I did get into. So, but I did get into it nonetheless, because every now and then at times it will progress upward, and it will, in most cases, touch that line. In most cases. But yeah, so that's why I lost. I just didn't, which is ironic, because I again, earlier, I was kind of teetering and not really taking the trades that, I probably should have taken earlier. There were some trades that I did pass up, but I mean, aside from the trades I didn't get because of the internet issue, but, nonetheless, this was a risk that I was willing to take. And again, that's the thing. You got to be willing. You have to be willing to take the risk you're going to take. And you have to know the reason why you're taking the risk. Even if it doesn't go in your favor, you still need to know why you're doing it. Can't just do it just because, I haven't taken a trade today. You can't just do it because, I'm putting all my money on this and don't know what I'm looking at. You can't really just do random stuff. And every trade that I take is not random. Even the ones that I do lose, they're not random. They're for a designated purpose. And, so, that's what, we can learn from this, is just the fact that, just be okay with the amount of money that you're risking. And that's the move that I'm talking about right now. That move there is what I probably should have waited for. But the market is already kind of, moving slowly. So any other time I would have taken that trade for sure. But, I can't really take that trade because the market is moving too slow right now, and I would have lost more money. So yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, guys. It's just, you gotta be okay with whatever amount you're risking. You have to be okay with all of the risk. I was okay with all that risk. I knew that eventually, once it went out of my favor and it got to a certain level, I was like, okay, I'll just hold on to it, just in case it does something else. But it doesn't look like it's going to do something else, so I'll just hold on to it. And I was willing to do that. It's not hurting my account. I didn't risk 50 contracts like some other people would do. Nothing crazy like that. I'm only risking, what I know I'm comfortable with losing, and I'm good to go. So, that's the whole thing, guys. Just be okay with whatever you're willing to lose, and if you do lose that, you can still sleep at night. So I'm still going to be able to sleep tonight. I have one day left, which is tomorrow. I'll just wake up at the top of the morning and get back at it and do my thing. So yeah, so yeah, that was my day. I lost about a little bit less than $200. And yeah, so thanks for watching this session, guys, and thanks for watching it to the end. And until next time, Geek Hybrid is signing out. See you guys tomorrow morning.